Next on the agenda, we have another personal friend of mine that I've known for many, many years. I admire this guy deeply. Hanan from Israel. Many of you know him. He is generous in spirit. He is welcoming, and he's a mainstay in the world Stuttering community. My good friend, Hanan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kindness and your generosity, Tom. And thanks for creating this event for us. Can I share my screen?
Yes.
I can, right? So just tell me, please, if you can see my screen.
Yes, perfect.
All right, cool. So I'm going to set my timer, but if I get distracted or I'm going over time, please just tell me and please just draw my attention to it. I don't want to take up more time than is allocated.
Yes.
So hi everyone. Wow, great to be here. I'm going to be talking today very briefly on what I feel are helpful resources, or rather what have been helpful resources for me in my journey with stuttering. Any opinions expressed, of course, my own, things that helped me. I hope they help others, but we're all individuals, we're all on our own journeys. Some things didn't help me in the past and now do, as we change over time. There are many more books that are available than I'm able to present in 20 minutes with or without stuttering. So this list is not the list. It's a list of what resources helped, and not the only resources that helped. And there's no intention here on my part by saying that these are better than any other resources. All right. From my experience with stuttering, with knowing Tom, speaking with Tom, with Anita, with many other people, learning has been key for me. Learning about stuttering, about philosophy in general, looking at my attitudes, my values, my beliefs, learning about psychology, my emotions, thoughts, here beliefs as well, motivations, etc. And these are reflected in in this list of resources that will perhaps be helpful to others. So the first one is Message to a Stutterer by Dr. Joseph Sheehan. If you just do a Google search for Message to a Stutterer, you will find it. What really resonated with me, I mean, many messages in this essay. However, the message that for most of us, clinical treatment, or rather effective clinical treatment, is not going to be available. I will say that ineffective and abusive clinical treatment was available to me, and I'm sure to many of us, but effective quality treatment to learn how to live our lives is not available to most of us. So whatever we do, we'll do pretty much on our own with resources that we have. So learning, finding out, speaking with other people about what resources are out there has been key for me. Another thing I'd just like to point out from this essay, amongst the many things that were helpful to me, is that to let go of judgment, of stuttering and of fluency. Dr. Sheehan said your stuttering doesn't hurt you and your fluency doesn't do you any good. It took me a long time to understand this, but really praising fluency or praising stuttering or praising or judging one or the other just puts us maybe back into the spiral of judgments and not looking at how things are. Maybe as I move ahead, you'll see other resources that have been helpful to me in understanding this. Briefly, just to mention another key topic raised by Joseph Sheehan is the iceberg analogy of stuttering. So learning that stuttering is comprised of what we see and hear and do pass, but it's also comprised of a number of emotions that exist in us. And this is the iceberg analogy, what's under the water. And what we see here is my iceberg. This is personal. It may be similar to yours, it may be not, but this is mine. So fear, shame, guilt, anxiety, etc., are not part of what causes my stuttering, but what part of what causes or drives my struggle with stuttering. And when I read about this, combined with other things that I learned about, it helped me to say, okay, Hanan, take a look at your fear, take a look at your shame. Shame is difficult, right? Because we're ashamed of feeling ashamed. We're ashamed of our shame. It's very difficult, but yet it's key. We'll see this in another topic that comes up. There are many resources that I will present that have been useful to me that are not directly related to stuttering as such, but in how we live our lives, what we choose to do for ourselves. For me, mindfulness, learning about mindfulness has been key to, and remains, not has been, continues to be key to living the life I want for me, continues to be key to understanding my struggle with stuttering and my struggle with mental health issues such as social anxiety, depression, and finding ways to work with these topics, these issues, if you want to call them. John Kabat-Zinn wrote this book. It's a very big book, very long book called Full Catastrophe Living. I highly recommend to take a look at this book and to read it. When I picked it up the first time and the second time and the third time as well, I was a little bit overwhelmed by the size of it and kept being anxious about moving ahead and getting to the next chapter and the next message. My recent readings of parts of the book have helped me understand to look at it mindfully, be with each page, with each paragraph, with each sentence, with each word even, in a moment. There are gems, and in my rush to get to the next chapter, I miss the message of what I'm reading now. And I guess that's one of the keys to mindfulness, being in the moment, accepting what's here without judgment. It's not necessarily all fun, but this is what is happening now. And then the question becomes, the only question is, what am I going to do with it? And this continues to be, for me, a phenomenal resource in living my life. And part of that is understanding myself and my stuttering and my beliefs, maybe my old beliefs about myself and about my stuttering. Going to a book about stuttering is Inspiring Stories and Professional Wisdom, published by Stutter Talk. It's a collection of essays. Half the book, more or less, essays by people who stutter. Approximately the remainder from professionals explaining different attitudes about stuttering from their point of view. And the benefits for me have been reading about the experiences of people who stutter. I don't think there's anything more that was more empowering for me than the breaking of the isolation from thinking I was the only one, or thinking, maybe I'm not the only one, but I'll never meet anyone else who stutters, to reading the stories and the experiences of other people who stutter. And it gives me both a sense that I'm not alone, and validation of my thoughts. So this continues to be a very important resource. There are a number of memoirs, personal memoirs of stuttering. Out With It by Catherine Preston. She published it, I think, in 2013, more or less. Wow, I just remember being on an airplane, going somewhere, coming from somewhere, and reading the book and simply crying. She gave voice to everything I'd been through, all my experiences, and I didn't know how to express it. And here was Catherine giving voice to this, and I'll stop now, otherwise I'll cry again. A Life Bound Up in Words by the late Marty Jeser, one of the first books I read. It's been a long time since I read it, but it still resonates with me in terms of the book. Really honest, open description of the person's experiences with stuttering, with therapies that were unhelpful, approaches, etc., and how he lived his life as a journalist, as an activist. Life on Delay by John Hendrickson was published just a short while ago. I think it came out, I don't know, a few months ago. I don't remember. Another very valuable resource in reading about the other person's experience, and you see that, hey, my experience is reflected in this person's. And I appreciate it so much, because these eloquent people give voice to the experience that then I can understand mine in a better way. Back to some books that are not connected directly with stuttering. I mentioned shame earlier. I think one of the primary experiences of stuttering, I think for me certainly, has been shame. We're brought up with this public stigma of stuttering. We adopted as our self-stigma that we're no good, and I was consumed with shame. My shame still comes up often. The writings of Brené Brown helped me to explore and understand shame, and understand how we all maybe hurt ourselves so badly by thinking that we are not good enough, that we're not worthy, and we carry shame without really exploring, hey, do I need to be ashamed about this? And it's everything, right? It's body shape, it's skin color, it's disabilities or differences like stuttering, sexual orientation, everything which makes us different as people has the potential for driving shame in us. And the shame is what stops us in our life. Brené Brown writes that shame cannot exist under light, and what she does so very well is shine a light on shame and enable us to shine our own light on shame, and thereby to reduce its hold on us. I'm running out of time really quickly. Empowerment in the world of stuttering. There are tons of books, but I wanted to mention these. Stuttering is Cool by Daniele Rossi. Daniele is here with us today. It's curious. The first time I heard the expression stuttering, not even the first year or two that I heard the expression stuttering is cool from Daniele and his friends, I didn't get it. I was really angry about it. His book is groundbreaking, phenomenally important resource for people who stutter, for educators, anyone who wants to understand stuttering. And he explains, walks us through multiple aspects of the experience of stuttering in such a cool way. There's so much humor. You just have to look at how he numbered the pages. Completely amazing. Dori Holty, who presented here earlier today, her book Voice Unearthed, her new book Voices Unearthed. she relates the story of her sons stuttering and their journey together. It's really difficult to overemphasize the importance of this book for parents of children who stutter and for people who stutter, for us to, again, understand, get some perspective of the experiences, including abusive experiences of therapy that we went through. And Stammering Pride and Prejudice by Patrick Campbell. Constantino, wow, I don't remember his first name. I'm really sorry about this. Christopher Constantino and Sam Simpson. It's kind of an ultimate empowerment book. And they say, you know, as you can see on the title, a difference, not defect. And ever since I saw this book, I've been using this difference, not defect, for my own benefit, and in the numerous lectures I give about stuttering. The difference, as Paul had, I think, spoken about in the previous talk. Life is complex. What is the meaning of life? Why are we here? What gives meaning to our life? What gives us peace? What gives us serenity? What gives us anxiety? So it's obviously not a trivial question, but the writings of Viktor Frankl and Edith Enger are very similar stories, experience of the Holocaust and what they learned and take from it and have taught from it, have been invaluable to me, continue to be invaluable to me to understand my meaning. What is the meaning I can find in life? And, you know, especially with my experiences of depression and social anxiety, and I know I'm not alone with this. What is the meaning? What is the purpose? Why are we here? We're all going to die, right? And no one gets out alive, as Jim Morrison said. So what is the meaning? What is the purpose? And invaluable resources. Continuing from there, to The Happiness Trap by Russ Harris. Russ Harris explains acceptance and commitment therapy. So it's a therapeutical approach based on mindfulness, but key to it is identifying the values. What is of value to me? What are the values by which I want to live out my life? And it seems obvious, but it's so important to really identify and write down what are my values. And my values may change. Okay, and then how do I make a choice to live my life according to what's important for me? And really, that the objective is not happiness, as we learn from other resources as well. And unfortunately, I learned that buying a red Ferrari is not going to bring me happiness. Had to let go of that dream, right? What brings us happiness? What brings us contentment, serenity? And the contentment, the serenity, the meaning, even amidst struggle and pain, those are the things that sustain me. The subtle art of not giving a by Mark Manson continues with many of these lessons. I cannot overestimate the importance of that book as well. Back to stuttering, I really, really like the writings of Dr. Gunnar Snyder's, his book From Stuttering to Fluence. It's actually not about fluency, it's about identifying our emotions. What are my emotions? What are my beliefs about stuttering? And Gunnar's does a wonderful job of, for me, enabling me to look at my emotions and my beliefs and question, are they rational, and what effect are those emotions and beliefs having on the way I live my life? Very important work, in my opinion. Stammering therapy from the inside takes us to the therapies provided by City Lit in London, written phenomenally by Carolyn Chessman, Rachel Everard, and Sam Simpson, about their experiences providing therapy. Carolyn and Rachel are also people who stutter themselves. Sam is very, very involved in the world of stuttering and empowerment. There are numerous chapters. Each chapter identifies a different type or aspect of therapy, and that enables one to start to think, okay, what works for me? Super important, in my opinion. Mindfulness and Stuttering by Ellen Marie Silverman explains to me some aspects of mindfulness and Eastern philosophies that are related to stuttering. Buddhist philosophy, which I've been reading about in the last year or two, continues to be very, very helpful to me. I know I'm out of time, so I spent a long time looking for a book which can kind of explain it to me. And the heart of the Buddha's teaching by the late Thich Nhat Hanh has been very, very important for me. Combined with the teachings of Mark Manson and others, are the teachings of the Stoics as taught for me by Ryan Holiday. Again, been very, very important resources for me, and I encourage everyone to give it a read, subscribe to Ryan Holiday's daily newsletter. There's a podcast. Paul asked about podcasts. I don't listen to podcasts, not because I have anything against them. It's just a matter of time. So that's it. I'm out of time. Out of mind, right? Thank you very much. I hope that was of some benefit.